Hey guys, welcome into 6 Up Tabletop. New video today in the Horus Heresy world. As you can see on the screen here, you can see the color palettes of the Barbaran Ambaxtoi, and these are the Solar Auxiliary, cohorts that were alongside the 14th Legion, the Death Guard. And yeah, so I'll be painting them up. It's kind of another long-term project. I like starting projects. Well, who knows if we'll finish it. But as you see in that palette, that's kind of what we'll be attempting to paint today. As I start with this khaki and apply it all over, I guess where the void suit would be. The goal of this project today is to develop a scheme where I can paint 80 infantrymen with so some of these techniques applied on one figure don't make as much sense, but maybe painting 20 at a time, this technique will save time and provide a nice battle ready force, something that will look good on the table. It won't be display, it won't be professional level painting, but something that represents that looks good alongside Death Guard Marines, but also looks cool on the table. So without further ado, like I said, just covering the void suit with a khaki color. Breaking into the next color, I'm using this as a highlight on top of the khaki. This is Ushabti Bone Citadel Games Workshop, so it's one of their paints. I'll be mixing around paints. Different paint lines also have similar paint colors. So if you have something close and you're trying to replicate this, it's really like a cream bone color. So don't feel like you need to replicate the exact same paints. I'm doing an oil wash later, so having like the khaki and then the highlight jump being so high in color, it's not a big deal for me, as it'll all kind of get blended out. So this usually takes 2 coats, and just apply it where you applied the khaki color. Alright, moving on to black. Love this paint. Vallejo black, excellent. Scheme-wise, it's a nice addition. You have the black next to the gun. The gloves with the black next to the gun, so that's just an easy paint through. You don't have to be particularly careful or anything with your brush. Just try not to get on what you already painted. I'll be painting the boots black, the gloves black, some of the tubing black on the armor, as well as the bayonet and some of the pockets that he has to hold some of his materials. Start with Lasrifle from Citadel, working on the crest of the helm. There's the helmeted option, there's the non-helmeted option. For my squad leaders, I wanted to pick out something that fits nice. I think doing the green and white scheme for the helmet would look really nice. It complements the Death Guard style. Lasrifle for the green, green-gray from Vallejo, and then we'll just take those colors up a little bit in the next couple steps. I think it's War Boss green, and then just white from Vallejo, and it kind of brightens a little bit and makes it pop and stand out quite nice. Alright, so this is like the superstar of the project, Decayed Metal Scale Color. I feel like most of the painting videos I've done on this channel, I've used this paint in some manner or another. Just a great paint. I wanted I didn't want to do too many highlights or anything for metallics, even though if you want to take this scheme a little bit farther, you definitely can. You can mix in some other coppers, other colors to create more highlights for the metal. But I kind of wanted a one-stop shop for this. The only thing I would state on this step is going to be applied pretty much all over all the armor pieces, the backpack, the helmet, and everything. As you can see here, I would just say don't forget the little connector cables that tie the different armor plates together. And then he's got a little bit of armor on his gloves, and then just the connecting pipes, as well as the metal part of the crest. So usually for metallics, I like AK. Usually I use the gunmetal, but I'm using for this scheme natural steel. It's a little bit brighter. Excuse the camera there on the focus. So I know I'm going to be applying an oil wash later, so I don't mind right now if the metallic is a little bit brighter. There's a lot of metallics on this model, and so having the silver color pop off is nice. So I just touch up the gun a little bit, some of the ammunition packs, some of the rivets here and there, the bayonet and the grenades, and yeah, having the silver as a kind of like a contrast to all the bronze is a nice touch. Alright, speaking of bronze, I just use this to touch up a little bit. There's a pipe or a connector, I think, for the air gauge, and then he has like the insignia on his chest. So I'll be applying those with bronze, and that's from Vallejo. Also, I just wanted to touch base here. There's a lot of trial and error in this scheme. I tried doing the helmet all bronze, and I decided, as you can see here, to switch it back to the decayed metal. I really just wasn't happy with how it looked like, so I thought it was worth showing some trial and error. Alright, so as I'm doing the Barbaran Ambaxtoi, they do have their own insignia. However, I am just using the generic transfers. So I have my Death Guard army, but I might play them as Loyalist or Traitor, or I might just play the Solar Auxilia as their own force. So I guess technically, I'm not true to the scheme, but I want to use what was provided in the box, and for me, I just want something that looks good. I'm not as worried about it being specific to that model. I know some people will want the specific transfers, but as you can see, I'm using Micro Set, Micro Sol, and those are kind of just the go-to products I've used forever. Alright, next applying the oil wash onto the model. I add a little bit of burnt umber and ivory black, Winsor Newton from their artist line. Mix in a little mineral spirits into there, and just try to get it to a wash consistency. Apply that to the model, and you don't have to be too careful about it. Just apply it. I would say try not to let it pool too much. But we're going to go over it with makeup sponge, or you can use a Q-tip, but I prefer makeup sponges as it doesn't leave behind any of those fibers that sometimes Q-tips do. So I would say this is probably a couple hours, 3-4 hours. I just let it dry, and then I just wipe it off. I don't have to apply any mineral spirits to the makeup sponge. I just leave it how it is and just wipe it off. I guess I don't want to lose the point here. The whole point is that there will be some dried oil and different colors basically in the recesses, and so just be wiping off the oil from the top of the surface. This is like a texture paint. I use Vallejo mud on the base, and then I mix some pigments with some mineral spirits, as this is going to be an army that I play with, and I found that in the past when I tried to apply different pigments, I usually get them on my hands or they fall off. So basically the mineral spirits is like a quick drying medium that holds the pigments, and the pigments it attaches them better to the model and to the base. So I just apply that all over the model. Not all over the model, I apply it pretty much like waist down, and then on the base where I have the texture paint. So this isn't a perfect strategy for one model, but like I mentioned earlier in the intro, this will work really well if you're doing 20 of the infantry at a time. And here is the final product. This is varnished with matte varnish, which brings like a consistent look to the figure. And I also painted the rim black. Alright, so post varnish, I wanted something that pops a little bit, so this is the only thing that's going to be not varnished, but I think will stand out a little bit. I'm using silver, AK Interactive, so there's many ways to do lens. You can probably find 1,000 tutorials on YouTube. I wanted something that was quick. I'm using a thinned down version of Blood for the Blood God, which is a technical paint. That and water, probably 50-50, just dapping it up and kind of applying it as like a thick wash over the lenses. And yeah, I think it looks good. It's a good result, and it's nice, and I can replicate it across the army. And this is the final product. So I appreciate, as the photos and slides videos go past, thanks for watching. If you like this, let me know. I appreciate you guys watching the videos. There might be some more Horus Heresy content that goes forward as I get farther into this project. As you can see here, here's a 10-man rifle squad, and you can see all the effects and the red eye lenses and stuff. I think they work nicely across a whole unit. Without further ado, this is Joshua 6 of Tabletop, and we will see you in the future. Thank you.